Week one of the New Jersey high school football season is in the books, and we have a lot to talk about for today's show. We'll go through all of the results that you need to know about, plus we'll take a peek ahead to week two. It's all ahead on the Red Zone Home Show. Let's get the show started. Welcome into our third show of the season. Thank you for watching us live. I'm Ryan Ross. We have a big show planned. As I said in the open, we have to wrap up week one and take a look ahead to week two. And to start that off, we are going to invite in from the Asbury Park Press, Steve Falk, and from NorthJersey.com, Darren Cooper. Guys, big show planned today. A lot to get through. Steve, we'll start with you. Some of the results at the shore that stood out to you. What grabbed your attention this week?
First of all, as somebody from the Brick Township schools tweeted a little while ago, it was so good to see high school football back on the field. Everybody that took the field this weekend was a winner. Now, as for what happened in the shore, Red Bank Catholic defeated Mater Dei, where we've heard this song before, 10-3, and it was a game very similar to the non-public Group 3 championship game 2 years ago, where Red Bank Catholic's defense held firm inside its own 5-yard line in the closing minutes. This time they did it twice. They stopped them on a half-yard line with under 5 minutes to go. And then sophomore linebacker Sabino Portella, who's a returning region wrestling champion, recovered a fumbled snap at the Red Bank Catholic 9-yard line with under 2 minutes to go to clinch the win. And also kudos to the Toms River South Indians. I never saw this coming. Toms River South defeated Toms River North 28-21. Toms River North was ranked number 18 in our USA Today Network New Jersey Top 20. And the Indians did it in a way that I would never have expected. Normally a flex-bone triple option team, they went to the pistol and threw the ball over Toms River North. Senior quarterback Jack Huber, who is a 4-year starter, threw for 236 yards and a touchdown while throwing the ball 30 times, which sometimes in years past was a whole season's worth for Toms River South. And he also ran for a touchdown. Also, a shout out to Manchester Township, which upset Lacey Township, which was one of my dark horse teams in the shore. And according to first-year Hawks head coach Brian Wilkinson, it's the first time Manchester has ever defeated Lacey.
Great stuff at the shore this week. We're looking ahead to week two as well. Darren, how about up north? What caught your attention from our first week of games?
Hey, Ryan, we played football for 3 days up in North Jersey, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll talk about that in just a second. But the marquee game on the North Jersey calendar pitted two very old rivals, St. Joe's and Bergen Catholic. The debut for new St. Joe's coach Dan Morangi and the debut for Bergen Catholic quarterback Steve Angeli. He's wanted by everybody in the country, and he showed why. He connected with Ryan Butler on that touchdown pass. Butler was the star of the first half, scoring 3 touchdowns, 2 on the ground, 1 through the air. And for a while, it kind of like Bergen Catholic was going to blow St. Joe's out. It was 24-7 going into midway through the fourth quarter, when all of a sudden St. Joe's turned it on. Audric Estime, fantastic running back. He's going to Michigan State. He scored 2 touchdowns. He even had a sack and a half as they played him on defense. So it came down to about 2 minutes left. St. Joe's with the ball at midfield, down 3. But Bergen Catholic's defense made a stand with 2 sacks in the last minute to hold on for a 24-21 win. The other big story by us was, poor Lakeland. Let me go back to my notes here for a second. This is all COVID related. Poor Lakeland was supposed to play Sparta. They were supposed to play Ramsey. They were then supposed to play Morris Knowles. Then they ended up playing Westwood on Sunday. Cut through all of that. Think of all the film poor Coach McCormick had to watch. They beat Westwood 21-14. Lakeland, one of the top 10 teams in North Jersey.
How many teams was that, Darren? I lost track.
4, my friend. We
1 week preparing for 4 teams?
Yeah, I think we're scheduled to play 40. We've already had some schedule changes already for week 2, too.
Schedule changes, and of course, attending the games is a little bit different. Of course, this year, everything on the field might be familiar, but going out to the games, definitely a different experience. Myself and our photographer, Brian Johnston, we were at Red Bank Catholic and Mater Dei on Friday night. So we took some looks around just to see what everything looked like. So we're going to take a look at that video and take a break in the show. And after we show you that video as well, we'll take a look around the region. New Jersey, of course, kicked off this weekend, but some of the other states bordering New Jersey, still waiting to get started. So we'll take a look at that. And then when we come back, it's time for Central and South Jersey to go into week 1. We're going to take a break on the road show, and we'll be right back.
It's a day long in the making, but finally high school football is back in New Jersey. It's October 2nd, and around the state, games are kicking off. Everything on the field might look familiar, but of course everything going on off the field will be a little different this year. We're in Red Bank for Red Bank Catholic versus Mater Dei Prep. Let's take a look around the field to see what's different for this season. Some things we noticed at tonight's game. First, the ticket booth and snack bar are both closed. The players utilized an outdoor locker room. And finally, everyone in attendance was required to be wearing a mask.
Welcome back to the Red Zone Home Show. Thanks for tuning in. We're wrapping up week 1 and looking ahead to week 2 in this week's show. Joining us now, we have from South and Central Jersey, first from Courier Post Online, it's Josh Friedman, and from mycentraljersey.com, Greg Tafaro. Guys, welcome to the show. We have plenty to get through in your regions as well. Josh, we'll start with you. Some upsets in South Jersey. What do we have from last week that was really worth talking about for this show?
Well, our game of the week was number 1 Williamstown against number 9 Timber Creek, and Williamstown showed why they were number 1. Blanked Timber Creek 21-0. Held a powerhouse Timber Creek offense to just 103 total yards. A team that has multiple Division I players. That defense was just so strong, and COVID just didn't seem to impact that defense, which has been stellar for 2 years at all. That team, even without the lack of practice time, was just phenomenal. And then, but there were a couple big upsets, starting with Burlington Township's upsetting Willingboro, number 13 in the state's preseason rankings, 22-0. Even Coach Tom Madeira was shocked at the result. Really just a stunning performance. A.J. Johnson was a hero in this game, had an early touchdown saving tackle, and Burlington Township wound up forcing a turnover because of that. Had a kick return for a touchdown and caught a touchdown pass as well. He's our South Jersey Player of the Week as well for that, his work in the game for that upset. Then Winslow defense shuts down Camden, number 20 in the preseason poll, 15-12. Again, defense is the story of the week. They forced 4 Camden turnovers. Trey Thorpe had a kick return touchdown and an interception. And then late in the game, in the final 2 minutes, Emerald Mitchell made a stop on a 4th and goal at the 2-yard line to preserve Winslow's win. There were tears at that game. I mean, that Winslow's had so many close chances. They've got a lot of talent. This is the kind of win that maybe can define that program for the next several years. A huge upset and really a surprise at the end of the week.
Defense definitely taking its toll early on in the season, especially with those South Jersey results. Greg, how about in Central Jersey? 2 games in particular that seems that everyone's talking about.
Well, Ryan, in the Big Central Football Conference, a newly formed league comprised of teams from the now defunct Greater Middlesex Conference and Mid-State Conference, got off to an inauspicious start. 7 of 31 games on the Week 1 schedule canceled or postponed due to coronavirus-related issues, but there was football played at St. Metuchen, which hosted Elizabeth in a Division 5D matchup featuring 2 hours from the league. St. Joseph won a defensive battle by a score of 17-12. 2 safeties accounted for the first 4 points in the game. Tommy Romand of St. Joseph and teammate Rocco Bellamy each recorded safeties, tackles in the end zone for a 4-0 lead. Elizabeth found its offensive touch in the second half as quarterback Miguel Encarnacion completed 10 of 13 passes for 121 yards and 2 scores. Interestingly, Elizabeth was limited to just 1 first down and a single yard from scrimmage in the first half in that game. Another marquee matchup pitted Clifton against Colonia. Colonia was initially scheduled to play Scotts Plains Fanwood. That game was canceled. So Colonia countered and quickly prepared for Clifton, which is ranked in our USA Today New Jersey statewide top 25 poll. Despite playing without quarterback Josh Ularemi, a dual threat for the entire second half, Colonia only trailed 24-20 late in the fourth quarter. Interestingly, Colonia literally controlled the ball for the entire third quarter. In Josh Olaremi's stead, backup Chris Waldron engineered the offense. Colonia ended up succumbing 31-20, as we mentioned. Interestingly, Colonia now travels to border rival Woodbridge, another state-ranked team, this Friday. Big test again for the Patriots.
And that seems to be the topic a lot of teams are going to deal with this year. Everyone's got to kind of be on their toes. The team you might be preparing to play on Monday could change by Tuesday. But, guys, just happy to be back on the field. What was it like being back out there for this week to finally have games kick off and play?
It was a blast. I mean, it was great to see the fans. I mean, there was a little lack of energy, and you kind of felt it with 500 people max in the stadium. And there are games that you expected, raucous crowd yelling and screaming, and you didn't quite get that, which I missed. But you talk to everyone, winners, losers. So many people said we didn't even think we'd be playing football this year. So losers, even the teams that came on the short end, would say, I'm just happy I was out here. It's nice to have at least one game, and because no one knows what tomorrow's going to bring.
At St. Joe's, despite the attendance limitations, I mean, the atmosphere is absolutely electric. There was a lot of hard hitting going on in that game between the two teams. I mean, Elizabeth so well coached. Jamil Jackson, former linebacking star at Rutgers University. It was great to see the kids back out on the field. Interestingly for St. Joseph, Rocco Bellamy, their two-way star. He's a linebacker and a running back. He transferred from Piscataway, which was one of 7 schools across the state that canceled fall sports, and there's Rocco there. We can see, so it was wonderful to see Rocco there, be able to have the opportunity to play the sport he loves.
And these results, of course, from all of our regions will have an effect on our top 10. We're going to take a look at that now. As we take another break in the show, we'll have another interview coming out of that. And then later on in the show, Josh and Greg and Steve and Darren will all come back to make predictions for week 2. So we're going to take another break in the Red Zone Home Show. As we do that, let's check out our top 10. Welcome back to the Red Zone Home Show. Ryan Ross here. You might have noticed number 5 on our top 10 list. That's Ramapo. They're 1-0, but beyond that, they've won 27 games in a row, and we had a chance last night to talk to Ramapo. We had head coach Drew Gibbs and quarterback Charles DePrima on the show, so let's take a look at that interview from last night. Time to welcome our guest to the show this week. Joining us from Ramapo High School, the owners of the longest win streak in New Jersey, we have head coach Drew Gibbs and quarterback Charles DePrima. Guys, thank you for joining us. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Doing great. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Coach, I'll begin with you. I'm curious if you're sick of hearing about this win streak. I'm sure every time you talk to the media, it's brought up to you. Is that something that within practice and in the locker room that you guys discuss? Or do you just kind of tune that out on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, the win streak is not something that we discuss. The focus really has to be on next week's opponent. The only way you build a win streak like that is to focus on what's at hand, which is our next opponent. I think our coaching staff does a tremendous job of that. I think our players do a great job of that. It really isn't something that we look at. We just want to go out and win every Friday night that we can. So staying focused week by week seems to be the right message for our players, and by doing it, they've put together that streak.
Charles, I want to ask you a question. First of all, again, thank you for joining us. Good luck this week against Riverdale.
Thank you.
This offense has been firing on all cylinders for the last couple of years. What's so good about it, Charles? Why is it so hard for defenses to stop? What is it like to be at the controls, and what makes it so hard? What makes it so good?
I mean, I would have to say it works because of Coach here. I mean, he puts a lot of time into the film and to the other team's film too. And then he preaches it on us all week, and we just rep it and rep it out every single week, week in and week out. The scout team does a great job too, giving us the defensive looks. And, yeah, the offense just does what it does during the week in practice. We practice how we play every week. For sure.
And Drew, you've had some good quarterbacks come through the system the last decade or so plus. What's been different about Charles? What's he been able to bring to the table?
Charles is a tremendously talented athlete. He has done a great job in our read option game. He can run with the ball. He can throw the ball. He makes good decisions both in the passing game and run game. So, you ask what makes our offense difficult to defend. I call one play and the ball could end up in 4 or 5 different places, and all that's on Charles. So not only does he have the physical skills, but he has the mental ability to make the right decision and handle that part of the game. So, we're very fortunate in that to have a signal caller like him. And again, not only for his decision making, but his tremendous athletic ability. If a play does break down, he can make 3 or 4 guys miss and turn it into a big play. So again, we're very fortunate to have Charles and to have a lot of tremendous players on the football team.
Yeah.
Charles, let me ask you, and I'm going to bring up the win streak again. I'm sorry, us sports media guys, we like numbers and records and streaks and all that kind of stuff. But as the quarterback of a team that does have the longest win streak in the state, is that added pressure on your shoulders? Is that something that you think about? What's it like to be at the helm of a team that's won 27 in a row?
I wouldn't say it's a big pressure thing, but it's like the teammates and myself, we definitely know that we're going to get the best shot from every team we play every week. Like, we're circled on their calendar every single week for them, and we know that we're going to get the best shot, so we have to prepare extra hard. I guess that's what the win streak brings to us, so we know we have to prepare extra hard.
And for this season, too, to come back, and obviously there's some uncertainty in the offseason, be able to come back and get some games in for this season when it was kind of up in the air a few weeks ago, really. How important is it for you to be able to get some games in this year to keep that streak alive?
Yeah, well, we know that things can change any day with this whole virus thing. So we're just going to treat every week like it's our last, almost play it like it's our last, and appreciate it at all times. We're going to go out there, and every time we get a chance to go out on the field, we're going to love every moment of it. And it's honestly a big deal that we get to play any type of game this year, because there's a lot of people out there that don't.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by the show. Big one this week against Riverdale. Head coach Drew Gibbs and quarterback Charles DePrima from Ramapo. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and best of luck along the way.
You're welcome, Ryan. Darren, good to see you.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
That was our interview last night with Ramapo quarterback Charles DePrima and head coach Drew Gibbs. Our thanks to them for stopping by the show. We're going to take another break, and on the other side, we will have predictions for the upcoming week. But before we do that, it's time to go to Garfield for our latest segment of 100 Yards. And for the full video, go to northjersey.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm Darren Cooper, a local sports columnist on northjersey.com, and it's time for a 100-yard walk with Omar Reyes here in Garfield. Omar, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. The first question we have to ask every kid right now is, how are you doing with everything, all the changes? How's your family? Has everybody been okay throughout all this?
Everything's been fine. Just had a little scare with my mom a couple months back.
Did you?
But other than that, everything's been pretty good.
So how good of a relief is it to play football again?
It's pretty good. It feels great. I really wanted this.
Right.
I was actually going to cry my eyes out if it would have told me there's no football. Yes. I love this sport.
How'd you get started playing football?
It's a funny story because I wasn't born here in the United States, and I used to live in North Carolina for 2 years.
Okay.
I would watch videos, but I would never really be like, oh, I want to play and stuff. But then I got to Jersey, and one of my friends was like, oh, you should play football. You got the height for it. You big, you this, you that.
Right.
And he got me playing football freshman year.
I understand. All right, we hit the Varsity Aces red zone at the 20-yard line. Time for some rapid-fire questions. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
What's the best thing Mama cooks?
Pasta, spaghetti.
Biggest role model in your life?
My dad.
How come?
He's always been there for me since I was pretty much born. Anything I need, he's always there. No excuses, no nothing. He's always there. And he's always pushing me to be a better person.
That'll wrap things up here. It's been a 100-yard walk here in Garfield. First time we've ever done a walk here in Garfield. That's Omar Reyes Jr. I'm Darren Cooper. This is NorthJersey.com.
Thanks, Omar and Darren. Back here on the Red Zone Home Show, Ryan Ross. We're going to welcome back in all of our reporters from around the state because it's time to make some predictions for the upcoming week. We will start in North Jersey and Darren Cooper. Wayne Valley versus Wayne Hills, presumably taking place in Wayne's World. Party on. Who we got, Darren?
Well, you are on the couch there, Ryan. It is like Wayne's World. It is like Wayne Hills and Wayne Valley have one of the best rivalries in North Jersey. but it's been kind of lopsided to some degree. Wayne Hills had won 8 in a row, including in the regular season last year, but then in the playoffs, Wayne Valley stuck up and beat Wayne Hills, and then they went all the way to the North Group 4 title. But I am predicting, even though they're 3-14 against them all time, I'm going to go with the guys from Wayne Valley. I think Valley's coming off just feeling confident. I like their big win over Old Japan in week 1, and I think they just feel good. I think they have a good offense, and they'll find a way to get the job done against Wayne Hills.
And nice West Virginia-inspired helmet decals there for Wayne Valley. A nice touch on that. Steve, how about at the Shore? Long Branch, a surprise winner maybe to some last week, taking on Ruston Fairhaven in week 2.
First of all, I never thought we'd be talking about week 1, let alone talking about week 2. So that's a win in itself, and we should be happy with what we have. Now on to the game. Rumson, ranked number 11 in the USA Today Network New Jersey Top 20, was an impressive 41-9 winner over Middletown North last week. They have almost everybody back from a team that lost 14-13 to Wall in the Central Jersey Group 3 championship game. They are loaded for bear. Quarterback Josh Harmon, in his first varsity start last week, had a big game, throwing for 185 yards, which, if you know anything about Rumson, that's a lot of yards for Rumson to throw for in a game. He also threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. John Volker, who is going to go to Princeton University, had a big game, running for 120 yards on 10 carries. Long Branch, as you said, Ryan, was somewhat of a surprise 14-10 win over Middletown South. They did it defensively. And also quarterback Christian Rodriguez had a big game, threw 2 TD passes, made some big plays on the fourth quarter on the game-winning drive. But I'm going to go with Rumson. Too much on offense and a great defense. Rumson, I think, has got a very good chance to have a good year.
All right, Greg, we're going to have fun with this one. Old Bridge and East Brunswick, one of those rivalries that's really kind of a rivalry only to one side because the other side doesn't win too often. And that side is East Brunswick, my alma mater. They won in 2010, and you have to go back to this guy in 2007. Who's that? That's Thanksgiving Day, Senior Day, one of the other times that East Brunswick beat Old Bridge my senior year when I was playing there. But East Brunswick looked good last week. Who do we have in this one?
That's classic look back, Ryan. Congratulations. You know, the Big Central Football Conference game of the week, as you already mentioned, Old Bridge hosts East Brunswick in what is known traditionally as the Battle of Route 18. The annual Thanksgiving Day meeting was played every year starting in 1994 until last season when it was moved to the start of the fall campaign. Dual threat quarterback Owen Hogden of Old Bridge, hero in last weekend's 21-14 dramatic comeback victory over Monroe, and Zach Zebro of East Brunswick will lead their respective teams. Old Bridge may be without star slot back Davion Fields, who was injured last weekend. Old Bridge, Ryan, as you mentioned, this is a lopsided series, has a 23-3 record all time against East Brunswick. They have won the last 9 meetings. But all that changes this week, Ryan, as your alma mater will upset the Knights.
Oh, Greg, you made me, and I know you made your colleague Marcus Borden very happy with that pick as well. And off the record, I'll say go Bears. So appreciate that pick and for letting me relive the glory days for a minute as well. Let's go to South Jersey, Josh. Penns Grove and Salem, a big one down there.
Yeah, it's down at the bottom of the state, but it's one of the fiercest rivalries you're going to find. These two teams are, they don't like each other. Well, they respect each other, but they don't like each other. The last 4 meetings have come down to a single score. Last year's was as dramatic as anything, as there was a stop on the goal line at the buzzer at about an inch short of the goal line that would have won Salem the game. Penns Grove prevailed. They've won the last 3. And, I don't feel comfortable making this pick because I know this game can go either way, but I'm leaning Penns Grove. Just because a little more experience. I think Nasir Robinson is one of the best players in the state, Navy running back. He's going to be great. Both teams have sophomore quarterbacks. I think Nasir makes 1 or 2 plays, but keep an eye on Salem's Bobby Arnold. He can be a really special player. A lot of colleges sleeping on him. But I just think Penns Grove makes 1 or 2 more plays, and it's going to come down to the wire, 21-20, 21-18, something along those lines. It's going to be a 1-score game for sure.
Should be a good one in South Jersey. Let's head back up north, almost all the way north. Don Bosco and St. Peter's, Darren.
Absolutely. This is a rematch of the non-public 4 state final last year between the Ironmen and the Marauders. St. Peter's won that one 21-13, blocking a late field goal, running it back for a touchdown. I was with Coach Rich Hansen, St. Peter's, earlier this season, and I was talking to him. I said, you know what team's really gunning for you this year, right, Rich? And he was like, who? I said, Don Bosco. I said, you've beaten them 5 times in a row. The last Bosco coach to beat St. Peter's was Greg Toll. We got to have some chaos, right? Guys, got to have some chaos at some point in time. Don Bosco's put himself a little running back named Ronald Heath. I think they're big and talented up front. They played real well against Paramus Catholic, and I'm going to take the Ironmen to upset St. Peter's.
All right, an upset pick there, North Jersey. And last but not least, back to the shore, Steve, we have Manasquan and Jackson Memorial.
First of all, Darren, I like chaos, so go for it. As for this game, these are 2 of my favorite programs on the shore, and I don't ever remember them meeting. I don't know if they've ever met. Their styles are similar. They both line up usually in the I formation, play power football. However, there's a little bit of a twist at Manasquan this year. Last week, they unveiled a sophomore quarterback named Brett Patton, who seems to be a tremendous athlete. He threw for 190-plus yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 passing attempts. That's not the Manasquan I know. The Manasquan I know likes to run the ball between the tackles and just try to wear you down and play great defense. They also moved their quarterback from last year, Cole Kozlowski, out to running back and wide receiver, which is kind of an interesting move. So I guess Manasquan is kind of joining the 21st century here as far as offensive football goes. However, when it comes down to it, Jackson is still basic football. They're power football. They have one of the best running backs in the state in senior Will Towns, who is committed to Wake Forest. They always play physical defense. They stifled Neptune last week, 35-0. I think they'll figure out how to defend this semi-new look Manasquan offense, and Jackson will win in a low-scoring physical football game.
And, of course, for all of the high school football coverage across the state, check in with NorthJersey.com, APP.com, CourierPostOnline.com, and MyCentralJersey.com. Darren, Steve, Josh, and Greg, guys, thank you so much for joining us this week on the show. Our thanks to our guest from Ramapo as well. Thanks to Omar from Garfield. And thank you for watching the Red Zone Home Show live. We appreciate you watching. I'm Ryan Ross, and we'll see you next week.